Greetings. You're listening to Rebels Remembered, featuring Caitlin DeFord and Kelsey DeFord.
Greetings, travelers from across the galaxy. I am Kelsey.
I am Caitlin.
And this is Rebels Remembered. And we are getting right into Season 2. And we've already finished Season 1, so we're now just kind of jumping in. So the first episode of Season 2, it premiered as a two-parter, so it was like an hour long. I don't say hour, maybe 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So now if you see it on television or streaming or whatever, it's always split into two parts. But it's called Siege of Lothal. It premiered on June 20th, 2015. Originally, this was at Star Wars Celebration that year. And then it also premiered on television around the same time. And I don't know about you, but I was really upset that we had to then wait for the season to officially start. Like, I know they needed something to, for the press and all of that, but it was kind of like, oh, great, now we have to wait 6 months after this first. But anyway, premiered on June 20th, 2015. It was written by one of our favorite writers, Henry Gilroy. It is directed by, oh, Lord, you have to help me with this.
Bosco, cannot pronounce his last name, NG.
Yeah, I'm assuming, it sounds like Vietnamese, or I don't want to assume anything. Brad Rao and Dave Filoni was the supervising director, and the synopsis says, with Lothal under Imperial siege and the Empire on their trail, the rebels must find a way to flee Lothal and return to the rebellion. So I'll just go ahead and read the trivia part of it. You want to just take turns doing that?
Yeah.
So the first two episodes of the season, which is we're talking about, Siege of Lothal, were developed together as a single story, with Gilroy writing the first outline in May of 2014, which that goes back about a year before it premiered. The stated theme of the episode is, sometimes you can't go home, but you can find a new one. So it's that idea of, family and...
Because the first season was so integral to Lothal, and I feel like this is where they wanted to take the ghost troop to other places.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was part of it too, but yeah, this home is not necessarily a place, per se. It's the people that you're with.
Yeah. So basically, it starts off, with some action of them, winning... I say winning, not the whole rebellion, but, small little skirmishes that they're assisting the larger rebellion with. But I have a question I want to ask you. What did you think about them joining the rebellion? Because that's something that I think later in this episode, Kanan's very hesitant about it, and Sabina's hesitant about it, whereas Hera and Ezra and Zeb are very sort of on board with it.
What my opinion was of them joining, to me, they fit that. Yeah. Because the rebellion is about hope and wanting to fight the Empire on a much bigger scale. I feel like the Ghost Crew was mainly did smaller things. Mm-hmm. But to me, if you're gonna fight, why not fight big? Why not join them? I kind of looked at it that way. Did you think they should have... Were you more like Kanan?
I was a little bit like Kanan in the sense that I don't like it when things change. I'm working on myself, guys. But changing the dynamic of our little crew, I was very weary of, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But again, it's part of me was like that, but also part of me was like, well, this is 4 years before the Death Star battle, so you'd have to get more involved with bigger pieces of the rebellion. So
back on Lothal, they do well, and you hear them communicating with Phoenix Squadron, which is different than the last season. And then we cut to Minister Tua, who's complaining to Agent Kalash. She's exhausted all resources to find the rebels and doesn't know what else to do. And then you hear him, you see him, Vader's now here. And he kind of, in a way, tells her that he kind of reprimands her and this is just a small ragtag bunch. I don't see why. Also, you gotta remember, they also destroyed Tarkin's destroyer, too. Mm-hmm. So I think Vader doesn't understand. He's kind of he doesn't understand why you're not willing to go to the extreme lengths to catch these people that you should.
Right.
Vader, throughout this whole two-parter, is this is where he kind of takes over and starts playing the chess with them a little bit. We see that later with Thrawn, but in this season, it's definitely Vader's role. And he tells her, if the rebels have left, we must draw them back. Oh, yeah. He tells her that she could explain that to Governor Tarkin when she visits him. She even says that she has no experience or brutal tactics. So Tarkin's coming to visit her.
Yeah, they didn't really explain, I guess they didn't have to, what does visit mean? And I want to go back in the rabbit hole that was Mustafar, but it's like, you guys are kind of dancing around what that actually means.
I mean, you can tell by the music what it means.
Yeah.
And then the way Vader says to account for your failure. I don't like the way you said that. Yeah. I don't think it's just going to be a pink slip. I think there's something more to it. And I think the audience with the music, you get there's a sense of foreboding. And even going back to what about Callus, he even says, "We'll manage in your absence." But he says absence kind of like...
So back with the Rebel fleet, the Ghost crew are being praised by Commander Jun Sato. And Chopper comes in with a message asking them for help. And there's sort of like a squabble between Kanan and Hera over procedure and if he can do that. And so what she asked Chopper to do is like, okay, we'll be able to they'll be able to hear us, but they won't be able to see us because that would compromise where the fleet is at, or I don't know how because you're in space.
Well,
but anyway,
just
to have cover, you know. Yeah. And so they have Ojo having I don't even know how she got in contact with him. That's another story, but like Minister 2 is showing up on the little hologram and she's basically asking them for help. Which after what happened, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see why. It comes down to people don't like Jedi, but especially for such, I don't want to say menial things. It's sort of like, how willing are you to die for your cause? When push comes to shove, you know?
Yeah.
And for her, I think she's just so afraid of death, like any person would be, that she's looking for a way out.
I mean, there's a lot of motives for why people do what they do. Fear is a big one. I mean, she even says, to prove that I'm, you know, I think Sabine was like, you're defecting.
Yeah.
Like, she's confused. She's like, to prove it, I'm going to give you information, which that's huge for them. But also, there's a reason for why she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's scared.
Well, even, like, in that, I think fear is you know, Jedis teach you not to, or if you are afraid to kind of meditate on it and you let it go, and I think even, like, the fact that Ezra and Kanan are able to even sense that far out in space of, like, in her voice and her demeanor of how scared she is.
Yeah, I think Ezra says, I can sense that she's afraid, and Kanan says, but of what?
Yeah, then you have to get creepy with it, like Disney. Like, why you being dark? So they decide, I think, like you said, that's a big thing for Ezra to, like, do that, but also how he says, and plus you can help us out, you know? Yeah. So he kind of, like, you know, backtracks a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're able to get to Lothal, and are able to see that Minister 2 is being escorted by Agent Callus. But however, I will say before this, because Callus is sort of escorting her to board a ship so that she can go see Tarkin. As an audience member, like, I knew something was off because it felt very similar to the one with Gul Travis, where it's like, where are the troopers? Where are your people? You know, it's like, that's like Minister 2 of the planet. Lothal is like walking around with like just Callus.
And doesn't Callus send like a thing to spy on her with? There's like a cutscene where he sends some type of droid to spy on her. So I don't know if he overheard all that information.
Yeah, that was my next question. Is like, where did they figure out she was defecting? Or was it Vader's plan all along to make her so scared that she would reach out for help so they would draw him there?
As soon as they arrived at Lothal, I was like, this is not going to go well for them.
Yeah. I think what is it? Kanan's disguised as a commander or trooper or some kind while this is going on.
Oh, yeah.
They arrive to save Minister Tua, and we all know what happens. She boards the ship, because they need to... That's the part I had a question about, is like... I guess because my memory's failing me. The part with, like, why did they need her ship to escape? I forgot. Did theirs get blown up? The one that they came in on?
They came in on a shuttle, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And,
because the ghost is so recognizable now.
That's what it is. Yeah, I meant to make that point. That also shows how much it's changed. Is Hera says, we can't take the ghost because they're going to recognize it. So they take this shuttle to pick her up.
So yeah, they said they tell Minister Tua to let's go with you, let's go into the board of the ship, and she runs into the ship, and the ship blows up. What did you think when that happened?
I was shocked, but I kind of knew it. Something was going to happen to her.
Yeah.
What got me more was after it blows up, you have Callus. You did this, and I was so confused.
I was so confused.
I was like, what? How did they? And I didn't understand that they're going to use that against them.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder, did Callus know about it being the plan the whole long? I think he did.
He did.
Because he was escorting her.
I think he did, yeah.
So they have to flee, and they escape. And on the holonet, of course, we've got... Is it called Travis, or is it just a report?
I think it's just a report.
A report is talking about how, they assassinated Minister Tua, and then Hera realizes that they're turning Lothal against the rebellion, but I think we'll see later, even more than that, it's like... And, well, we'll get to it, because Vader has a line that really brings it home, is like... It's more than just turning people against you with false lies and accusations. It's, no, they are retaliating against you by harming innocent people.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. But that whole thing about the Empire harming innocent people to affect the Ghost Force so much they have to leave. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like, I don't want to bring up William Dafoe. We attack his heart from, like, Spider-Man. That's kind of the vibe I would get from that.
But now... Their shuttle was blasted, so now they gotta think of something quick. Like, where are we gonna get a ship to, get out of here, get out of Dodge, you know? Oh, and Kanan, he comes up with the idea that, what's it called? The Imperial Complex.
Yeah. Since they've kind of spread out everyone, the best place would be the actual complex itself where everything's housed, because all the troops are kind of spread out looking for them.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's that line is, the Imperial Complex, are you crazy? And then he says, does anybody answer yes to that question? And then Sabine, that's when she mentions...
Well, I mean, it's crazy, but it would work, you know.
Yeah.
When they first get to the ship, they see the hangar, and then Hera's like, or Kane's like, what did I tell you? He's like, you did it good. So they start running, and then Sabine stops her and notices the shield generators. It's like, oh, let's grab all we can carry. I might turn the day around, is her quote, to, like, at least we got something out of this, you know. Yeah. So they each start trying to grab the shield generators. But before that, we've got Kanan disguised as the commander and Ezra disguised as the cadet, and they're hiding them in these crates. That's before they get to the hangar.
Okay. That was what was not clicking in my brain.
But yeah, after all that, we have a little lighthearted moment with Ezra and Kanan trying to do the Jedi mind trick, and Ezra fails miserably.
Of course.
Of course. And it's about hiding them in the containers. And
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Kanan's like, you don't have to check inside, you know, using the whole Jedi mind trick.
Okay.
And then they get to the hangar, and then they get the shield generators.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So after they start grabbing the shield generators, and they find a shuttle that can get them out of there, whether or not it has any weapons on it is another... They just keep running into...
We just need something to fly us out of here. That's all we care about at this point.
And so that's when they run into...
you know who.
You know who. And I love it because everyone else is running, and first you see Kanan just stop.
Yeah.
And then you see Ezra run up and just stop behind him. And I just love how, like, the music kind of, like, dies down, and then he's like, do you feel that? And then, yeah, Freddy's the cold. And then you just hear breath. So, I mean...
yeah, I was scared so bad.
it was so scary.
I will say the theme of coldness plays throughout both two parts. Because before they get to Lothal, Ezra says, do you feel that? I feel cold. And Kanan's like, what?
Which, I mean, Vader, how cold is that dude? Because they were in space,
yes,
coming into Lothal when he felt that.
Like, how powerful is that? That's pretty powerful force.
Yeah. Right there. So we got this small battle between Vader, Kanan, and Ezra. Unfortunately, Kanan is, of course, no match for Vader. No. Vader doesn't kill him, he just kind of, like, deactivates the lightsaber and throws him into, to add insult to injury, throws him into, like, a crate. And he slams his face on it.
This is just a little small point. I've noticed that Kanan was holding his lightsaber with both hands. And Vader, there's moments he's just literally one-handed. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's... Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not prepared. And Ezra's nothing.
Yeah, so when he throws Kanan, and Ezra's like, you know what, I'm gonna, like, okay, well... He just threw your master. Like, I don't know if you saw that, but... good on you, good try, and of course, Ezra's no match, and once he pushes him back with the Force, we've got a very, dark shot of him almost slicing his throat with his own lightsaber. So, people say the show ain't dark. I don't know what show you're watching.
Yeah.
But...
It was interesting to see how he's going to get out of it. Of course, Kanan wakes up from being unconscious, I guess, and proceeds to engage with him again, but it's not gonna work, because then he hits him on the shoulder blade, which actually... It's a shoulder. Sorry. On the shoulder blade, and actually this scar, this little tidbit, that's throughout the rest of the season. And then Kanan has this idea where we can force push... Well, I think Sabine and Zeb are also shooting at this point.
I know they push him backwards and sort of the walker falls.
They force push him backwards, and a walker falls on top of him, seemingly killing him. And I remember that one shot where he's like this, and anybody that knows Vader knows he's not dead.
He can't be. This is 4 years before the Death Star blows up.
So, Kanan, and I love that part where Kanan and Ezra are like, hey, we're not fighting this guy anymore, let's go. And they kind of turn around, you just hear the creaking of the metal, and you can turn, and you just see, first you see his hand, like the shot of his hand, and then you just see, he's lifting the entire...
One-handed, by the way.
One-handed, the entire walker, and those things are heavy.
Yeah, it's really cool, because they got all the fire and stuff, and plus I love the little thing that being true between Ezra and Kanan after that. If that doesn't kill him, what will? It's like, not us. They keep running.
No, we're out.
It's like, yeah, we're out. We're done. I'm gonna head out.
And so they're running back to the shuttle to get on board with Sabine, Zeb, and Hera. And I remember that shot when they were running back to try to get there. You just see this very imposing Vader behind them, just not running. He's just walking.
Yeah.
And to me, that's terrifying itself. I think Sabine shoots at him.
Of course, he deflects it.
He deflects it and also hits her. And they get on the shuttle and fly away.
Yep, and that's when they sort of have like, oh wow, we got our butts handed to us. And it's very interesting to see the dynamic between, again, Ezra and Kanan, where Ezra is very like, how do we fight this dude? And then Kanan's like, he's a Sith Lord. Like, you don't understand what that means. Like, we got out alive. That's all that matters.
Yeah, he thinks this is Inquisitor.
Yeah, Ezra just thinks it's the Inquisitor, like the guy that Kanan just took out. No, this is like a whole different class.
Then we have this little moment where the crew is kind of... They're kind of at a crossroads. Do we continue fighting with the rebel? I think Kanan's the one that brings it up, because he's the one that has issues with it. He doesn't like procedure and... But it's understandable why he would think that, because of what happened when he was with the Republic. So he's the one that brings it up, like, should we continue fighting? What should we do here? I think then they each kind of give reasons. Again,
which is very democratic.
Yeah.
In the rebellion, things seem not all the time. Sometimes it's just like, you do that, before. But other times it's very democratic. Like, what do you think? What's your opinion? Whereas the Empire, it's very by the book. I order you.
I'm in charge.
I'm in charge, And I like the line that Ezra says about, I know we can't help Lothal now, but maybe we can get stronger to go back and change things. Which comes into play, and I also think it reflects on Ezra, like, that's his home.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the reason, along with his parents, of like why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
So because the shuttle they're in has no weapons, they decided to make a deal with Lando, which again, Kate is not happy about that either. Neither is Ezra. And so Hera and Kanan have to talk to him about exchanging some of these shield generators so that he can help them out. Meanwhile, while that's going on, you have this moment where Vader's talking to Callus. And again, going back to what I brought up earlier, he says, compassion is a weakness, one that we'll exploit.
Yeah.
Again, we attack his heart, kind of thing, kind of logic. So he orders Tarkin Town, the first the thing we saw in the first episode, the pilot, sort of like a refugee camp of people that have been forced off their land. Yeah, he just orders them to burn it. They get to Lando's little place. They got that weird robot who for some reason, sounds like he's Cajun.
Yeah, I know.
I don't get it. I thought it was kind of humorous, but at the same time, I'm like...
It took me out of it, to be honest. I was like, oh, wow, they gotta get off. Are you, I have prepared Lando's instructions. Like, that accent, I'm like, huh? Like, I was all freaked out about Vader, and now, what are you?
Yeah,
it
was kind of jarring, I will say. So, they are doing trying to figure out what things he has to help him out, because they get this cryptic thing from Lando about, my droid will set you up with everything you need, whatever that means,
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Ezra notices that, the Tarkin town's on fire. And I don't know why that scene always gets me. I don't know, it makes me very emotional to see him run off and Kanan's like, has to follow him.
Well, first he tells Zev, just let him go.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's almost like, we've talked about this theme of home and he wants to protect them. I think, unfortunately, Ezra needed to see that. To realize, I think even when Kanan catches up with him, he says this happened because of us. In a way, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, and then he says, there's a consequence to every action we take. Unfortunately, in the cause of war and things like that. But, still, Ezra's only, 15 years old, 16 maybe, at this time. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just...
The only way to protect the people you love sometimes is to leave.
Mm.
If we stay, one, we're going to get caught. Mm-hmm. And two, they're just going to do more of this.
Yeah.
So they got to think of some way to, get out of Lothal without running into
the
blockade.
So then they have this whole plan called by Sabine, calling it a lousy Sabine plan, which is kind of mean, but
yeah,
kind of thrown together.
It worked.
Of all these beacons beaming out their signal and to try and cover their actual location.
Mm-hmm.
So they get through that. They get through the blockade. And I love how after that, Vader's like, he walks into the office. Mm-hmm. Vader, I'm going to the office. We're talking with Callus, and Callus sees it as a victory. Like, you got him on the run. Like, good job, you. And he's like, we have to go chase after him. I was like, oh, I thought we were done, but okay.
It's like there's more to my plan.
Yeah.
And I think he mentions that he wants his ship prepared, and he tells Callus that he's planted a homing device on that ship. So my question is, this is just a little thing I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Did he plant homing devices on every single shuttle?
I'm wondering that too. I saw it as more of maybe it went in through all the other chess pieces. So if you're gonna blow up their ship they're trying to escape in, they're obviously gonna want to try to get one of those ships. Maybe they left it unguarded and have every ship had one of those trackers in it.
Mm-hmm. So they are successful in masking their signal. Of course, by the time they realize it, like they always do, it's too late to get them. They get back to the rebellion, and that's when Chopper all of a sudden tells them that something's been activated. The device has been
and I like
activated.
that little moment because Hera can understand him. She's the first to get it. They don't. The others are kind of waiting for Sabine or Hera to translate it.
Yeah. And Hera runs off into the the bridge or whatever, and that's when Chopper says that device activated on our ship moments ago. So, as soon as I get to the bridge, all of a sudden they've noticed a TIE has entered. And who is it? You know who? It's Vader. Who is not only is he a fierce competitor in lightsaber combat, who is a very, very talented pilot.
Mm-hmm.
People that know his backstory and know how he is, at this point, we know as an audience member. I kind of forgotten about that part of him.
Until you start seeing him blow up a bunch of rebels.
He starts blowing up ships left and right, and of course, they're just flabbergasted. They're stunned. This is one guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sato's the one that says, "Can someone please tell me how one fighter has
decimated the fleet?"
Yeah. Hera, which I love her to death, runs off toward the ghost, and of course Kanan says, "Where do you think you're going?" She's like, "I'm getting involved." She's like, "No, without me, you're not."
And after seeing all of that, I would...
Yeah.
I'd be so scared.
It's almost like a suicide mission at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we haven't mentioned her, because I forgot. Sorry. Ahsoka's been in this. Yeah. She was at the beginning of the episode.
She was at the beginning, yeah.
When they were discussing about Tua and the previous mission that the episode started with and all that. And she's here in this bridge. So, she has the moment with Ezra, like, alright, if I tag along, he's like, the more the merrier. There's a moment where Ahsoka realizes this guy's is very powerful with the Force. So, she tells Kanan, let's find out how strong. I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish here. Just, maybe to find out who he is.
Reach out into the Force and see who it is. But that's sort of a plot hole for me, too. I'm like...
Because they don't know it's Vader.
But they should have. Like, I don't want to, like, say, like, it's just a very big plot hole for me. It's like, you wouldn't have had to do that. After, especially, Kanan and Ezra fought him and saw what he could do, and suddenly there's a TIE fighter out of nowhere that's, like, blowing everybody up, who else could it be, you know?
That's true, yeah.
So I didn't understand, like, let's figure out who it is. I'm like, don't you already know who it is?
Yeah, and what I love about it, too, is Ezra's the first one that feels the coldness again. And that's when he says, I know who it is. It's
the Sith Lord we fought earlier.
Because it's the same feeling. And then, of course, this iconic thing where Vader's... I got chills at this point when, you know, it has this cut to of, like, Ahsoka reaching out with the Force through him, and then he kind of just turns his head slightly, all creepy. And that's when he says the apprentice lives. I got chills there. I was like, oh, crap, now he knows now he knows she's alive.
Yeah, that was my first thing. People were like, oh, he knows it's her. I'm like, he knows she's alive. And... Yeah. So, yeah.
They managed to hold him off. I think...
After he knows Ahsoka's in that ship, he says, I want him alive. So, he's following them, trying to disable the ship, but not kill them now.
Yeah.
Because he wants, her. Even Hera doesn't understand it. She's like, why? We got his attention for some reason. We know, but, the Ghost Crew doesn't know the connection.
And Hera gets him locked in the tractor beam.
I love that part because it brought so much memories of, like, The New Hope with Han just coming out of nowhere. Getting tagging Vader.
And he just flies off.
He just kind of spins out of control.
Yeah.
I think he called their other Imperial ships, like Admiral Constantine, to have backup. And that's what he tells them. He wants them in the tractor beam, but no, they get him instead.
Yeah.
And I'd hate to be that guy. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'd hate to be that guy, too. He didn't get a pink slip.
But even Constantine doesn't take responsibility for that, though. He just kind of pushes it up, like, well, it's not your fault, but I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tattle. It wasn't me that did it. I'm like, but you're the commander, like...
Well, would you tell on yourself?
Probably not.
Honestly. So after that happens, we have this moment where, of course, the Phoenix Squadron has now jumped away.
Right.
So they've gotten out of there, including Sato and the command ship. Or, no. I think the command ship get destroyed and they took its pods or something.
They evacuated
it, yeah. But they got out of there. So after that, there's a moment where they're all on board the Ghost. And Ahsoka has this moment with Kanan and Ezra. And Ezra's like, do you know who or what he is? And she says, no, I don't. Question. Did you think she knew?
There's no doubt in my mind that she knew who it was.
Okay, I thought the same thing.
Now, why she lied about it, I still don't.
Maybe it was denial. Maybe. And of course, we had this moment with Ezra and Kanan where, Ezra says something like, well, we can still fight. Because Ezra's still on, bless his heart, he is just so, I don't want to say, like, idealistic, but he has this concept of, you did too good of a job, Harry Kanan. You instilled in him, he's going to fight for those who can't. Which is great, but sometimes,
like Kanan says, it's the strength knowing when not to fight.
You have to pick your battles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, we want to get Vader, but you've seen what we've gone up against.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's impossible. Like, he's a big fish. We are not.
But you also have to understand, like, I think Taylor did a good job is like bringing that to performances. Vader's such an iconic. How can you take yourself out of that and pretend like you don't know what he's capable of and what he's done. You know, and same for like some of the Ghost crew. Like
they don't know him.
They don't know him. You know, us as audience, like we know Vader. Everyone knows Vader. But like taking yourself out of that equation and thinking about, okay, I've just met this person. And everyone else has a preconceived notion. They've seen his journey. If you watch Clone Wars, he'd be Anakin.
True.
And so all of that, they don't have their character is not supposed to have that information.
I never thought about that. Yeah, with the reason we thought, oh, don't fight him, he's bad. They don't know who he is. Yeah. They have no clue.
So for Ezra, I think it's also like him being younger and idealistic in a way. For Kanan, it's I feel like because of his backstory, he is sort of like the realist. He's sort of like the voice of reason about why that's not a good idea.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
So then we cut to Vader, and he enters his office. I want to say office again.
He tells him to clear the bridge.
Clear the bridge. Yeah. Before he does, though, Callus is like, you know, you've got them or whatever, and he's like, clear the bridge. And he contacts the Emperor, Darth Sidious. He tells them that the Siege of Lothal was a success and the rebels are now on the run. He also tells him that he recognized, I believe the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker lives and is in league with these rebels. I love how he doesn't say it's his apprentice.
No, because Anakin is dead.
As Anakin, yeah, which is interesting. Sidious is pleased because she could lead them to other Jedi who escaped Order 66, such as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He then orders Vader to dispatch another Inquisitor to hunt them down.
So at this point, like, if you're watching this, you're like, I want to see more Vader. It's like, his part's over.
For now.
For now. He's drove them away from the planet. They're on the run. He's dealt the blow against the fleet. They have to recruit some more numbers because all the people they lost. Mm-hmm. And he's going to take a backseat. He's going to let some more Inquisitors do the job.
True.
Which part of me... I know what the answer is. We wouldn't have a show if Vader was always in it. It's like, why don't you do it? I'm like, because they wouldn't last 2 seconds, you know. So,
you not last.
What would you rate this episode?
After rewatching it, I would give it a 7.
I have an 8.
Give it an 8? Okay.
Yeah. I said it's a really good episode. The pacing is pretty good. It has moments where it does slow down, but I think it's to give more emotional weight to things, like Tarkin Town burning, them hiding, and Ezra's parents' home, things like that. And the connection to the Large Rebellion, I was still weary on because...
Yeah, it's new.
It's new, and okay, we have to keep in mind, Season 2 has 24 episodes?
Yes, it's longer.
Season 1 had...
12 or 13, something like that.
So, I've had 13 episodes with these characters. And now... they're in league with a larger rebellion. And I was just very weary of that dynamic changing because I haven't got the time I needed with these characters to sort of build on them before they get involved in the larger...
Yeah, true.
Start introducing Sato and Ahsoka and other people that come... I'm not going to spoil that except other people that come into play. And, you know, I was very hesitant to that. Because, like, I love these characters so much in the first 12 episodes that I'm like, are you going to take the time... needed to tell their stories while you got this whole rebellion going on. Sort of like the human element I was sort of concerned.
Well, like I said, this starts the season off to an interesting start. I remember going into it thinking, before it even premiered, they were saying that, I can't remember if it's on the internet or something, that Season 1 was A New Hope.
I think about
Season 2 is Empire. After hearing that, it was like, they're about to get their butts kicked hard.
I think about that, yeah.
And they do. I mean, when they go to rescue or try to leave after 2 has been killed, their ship blows up. And we've never dealt with that. They usually get escaped on the Ghost, you know, and I think they're challenged in this season.
That's true.
To me, more than the rest. Thanks for listening or watching Rebels Remembered. You can follow us on Twitter, Spotify, or YouTube, and we will see you next time.
Bye.